So whilst recording this, unfortunately, I decided not to plug in my mic like an absolute idiot. So please bear with the shitty audio quality and the constant breathing like a fucking pug. So enjoy the video. Bye.
Come crawling faster. Obey your master. Your life burns faster. Obey your master. Come crawling faster. Present free till obey your master. Promised only lies. Your life burns faster.
Right, so part 2. I'm going to go a bit more into depth on the MWS performance-wise, kind of a few reviews of the parts I've got inside. I'm also going to go over a brief history of the GBBRs I have owned, kind of compare them, but let's go straight in. So the first GBBR I ever purchased was the KWA Umrex HK417A2. It wasn't the best, but it looked perfect. It was nice recoil. The only issue I had was the steel bolt carrier group snapped right in the centre. I was very upset because it was one of the first GBBRs I ever bought, wanting to get into them. Thoroughly disappointed with it. I think I spent about £600 on it. That included like, I want to say 7 mags with it. And unfortunately I had to sell it as boneyard to some guy who wanted it as a wall hanger for about 150 quid. So first initial impression of a GBBR, not the best. Second, I got the GHK SIG 553 Tactical. Absolutely lovely piece of kit. GHK really kicked out the park with that rifle. This was back when GHK's QC was quite well. I think my production model was about 2019, 2020. Worked wonders. Absolute killer in CQB. Gas efficiency was on point. The only reason I sold it is because of the next one. So I moved on to a GHK M4. Lovely rifle supplied by Waldo. Again, this was an early model, 2018, 2019. I think Waldo will be able to confirm if he ever comes into the comments. Worked flawlessly. The one thing about GHK M4s is the GHK G mags are probably some of the best mags for a GBBR ever created. They're kissed by God. The gas efficiency, the cooldown, everything about them, it just works nicely. I wish you could convert, you probably could convert the G mag into the MWS. Once I kind of got rid of the GHK M4 because I put a Rartec nozzle in and it ended up just absolutely ruining the system. Hop-up rubber was destroyed, BBs jamming. I kind of had enough of it and I wanted to, well, I was eyeballing up either the VFC SR16 or the TMMWS. Sold the GHK and then I moved on, well actually I didn't move on. Scrap that. Basically, I got diagnosed with epilepsy. I took some, well, I was forced time off work, didn't get paid much. Took some time out of airsoft and started helping my friends who got into GBBs because of me with some of their weapons. So my mate gave me his MP7 to maintain whilst he was on holiday, his VFC 416A5 by same reason because he went on holiday. And then my mate let me have a go on his TMM TR16, and that's when I was kind of dead set on getting a TMMWS. During that time, the Diatec Noveske kit actually dropped, and I kind of fell in love with it. A lot of people say, oh, it's a Dev Gru gun, or Slater Brady uses it, it's a hype beast gun. Yeah, you can say that, but I wanted it mainly due to the slimline handguard, the build of it, just how it looks. The mirror upper, it fits nicely with what I wanted, which was a nice looking modern weapon system. So kind of saving up, looking for it, small boy at Dev Team 6, sorry, had one and he was wanting to sell it. He notified me because he knew I wanted one. said he'd give me a good price. So I think in total he sold me this for about £800. That's pre-built with all the MWS stuff inside as well. Couldn't say no. So got this off him around November 2022. Once I got back to work, and it's been with me since. It's everything I kind of expected. When I first got it, I did run into a couple of issues. So the first one was a trigger reset problem. Happened a couple of weeks after I received it. I could have fixed it myself if I did a little bit more research and a bit more knowledge into it. But instead I just flung money at it and replaced the trigger box. Hasn't had the issue since. I also, the first day, decided to go full auto. Unfortunately, some type of jam happened. Probably my fault. I overloaded the mag I believe, looking back on it now, I overloaded the mag and my nozzle got absolutely shredded, so instantly had to pay for a new nozzle. Luckily Fire Support has the original GMs, so I instantly threw that into my rifle, worked fine, and was more caution since. So that's kind of the basics of how I got the MWS. I'm just going to go over the product reviews now. So inside, most of this is going to know from the previous video. I've got a GM Evo steel trigger box inside. Can't beat it. I can't say that. That's the thing, I'm going to be very opinionated on it because my MWS trigger box gave way. But this one, it's got a nice crisper feeling. It's a lot easier to maintain. Once you kind of learn the trigger box, you understand which piece does what. It's able to diagnose the issue. Again, I said if I maybe put a bit more time and research into my MWS one, I would have fixed it. But this one, easy to maintain, know all the parts. That's why I was easily, it's why I was able to fix any issues I had. So one of them was a bit of a draggy reset, fix that, no doubt, keep this maintained really well. I haven't had any parts break. I can't recommend it enough if you're wanting a crisper trigger. Another thing I threw in there, I got rid of the Geisley flat blade and put the CNC Tac Geisley X Lightning Bow style trigger. Works wonders, it's nice crisp. See if I can show you on here. And if I reset it, nice and crisp. Something you really want, especially with how I've built this rifle. To top it off, I added a Bavtac lightweight titanium Z plate. Even with the GM's bolt stop or Z plate, whatever you want to call it, I didn't have any issues with lockback, never have. I am using 150 psi gas, so along with the buffer and the bolt carrier group, which I'll go into in a little bit, I have never had a problem with the bolt catch not engaging, so that's a plus. Especially with a 150 psi, you expect something that pushes so fast and there's a lot more power to not be able to do it, but that Bavtac Z plate clears any problems or doubts I have about it. Moving on, I want to go on about the nozzle before I flip it over and kind of go into the bolt carrier group. It's the Federal Concepts feeder valve, very cheap, the easiest adjustable MPAS on the market. The Auger, the Revanchist and the Ratek, they're all made out of metal, which means you need a heavier jet valve spring for a more consistent result. This one is 3D printed, really nice design, and it's only one tool. The other three I just mentioned, you need to put a screwdriver into the open hole and adjust that. This, you just literally put your 1.5mm hex key in and turn. You have to take your bolt out. Maybe one day there'll be a way to, like a tool kind of similar to the Ratek Type 3, but I have no complaints about it so far. I'm going to post a couple of test results up now. And as you can see, it's a very consistent MPAS. Just to keep in mind, I am using the TM Stanag Mag standard router. Everything on this is TM still. And again, that's 150 psi gas, dry as well, just to keep in mind. Similar to propane then. So again, absolutely perfect. Flip it over. We'll kind of go into the bolt carrier group. So We've got the, again, the GM nozzle, works fine, reinforced. It's got a little steel rod and that loading arm, makes it a lot more stable and a lot more sturdy. We've got the Noveske marked auger bolt. It's lightweight, it's aluminium. It's got a nice hammer assist design where it stays up when it's knocking the hammer down, but it goes up when you're releasing the bolt. Keeps it nice and smooth. The coating on this, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's barely had any wear and tear, as you can see from there. And then the buffer is the standard TM1 with the 10p mod. The reason I've kind of kept it like this instead of upgrading my buffer is because I want to keep it snappy and gas efficient during winter. You see a lot of people running the heavier ones, and then they have to change the gas or change something in the system to run it in winter effectively. Whereas this, I've tested it in cold conditions. I think there's a video now. And that was somewhere 7 to 10 degrees. I wish I could get a little bit colder, but that's about ranging. Maybe this winter, when I do the part 3 video, I can show it a little bit more in depth, especially with like a temp gun and such. So, but yeah, this allows me to run it 12 months a year if I wanted to. The hop, I kind of went over it, but I really wanted to try the Dytac one. It looked promising for me, especially with what they call the FKM rubber, which was basically a copied W-hole design. Unfortunately, the specs were really off on Dytac's end. There was major problems with the hop-up unit, and then there was major problems with the bucking. The hop arm and the adjuster is quite good, to be fair, but you could probably get Lilacs and keep the standard stock one. 50 degree flamingo, lifts BBs the way you want. It's perfect for what it does. I'll explain a bit later why I've chose that and why I've chose a Dytac hop arm over the Bavtac nub. Tight bore in the barrel, increase your FPS a little bit. Stainless as well, so it keeps it kind of scratch resistant. Don't have to worry about as much wear and tear, and it runs all the way to the end. So that's kind of just like a quick review of all the parts. It all works together really well for my setup, and my setup's mainly based around CQB with a bit of outdoor and range versatility, a bit of a force multiplier. So the SLK stock, it's one of my favourite stocks for CQB. You can't diss it. Short toe, smaller length, very slim line cheek rest, but it's actually, I want to say it's still thicker than like a CTR or the standard SL, but it does wonders. I do have a Federal Concepts cheek riser just to see what that's like, because unfortunately the one from SE Irregulars is absolutely dog shit. I got the aggressive style special K grip by SE Irregulars, just no beef tail, allows your hand to get a little bit further in, a bit more control of the rifle. That's how I like to say. TGF winterized trigger guard, I'll explain a little bit more what I mean by comfort. It's a lot flatter edge and it's nicer material. With the curved one from Magpul I had, I don't know what it was with it, it just kind of protruded into my index finger a bit too much, where the weight of the rifle, because as you can see I've got my optic and a magnifier above, it was digging into my finger and it wasn't too comfortable. Whereas this, it's flat and it's hard to explain, but it's just a lot comfier. HRF Megwell, you can't go wrong with one of these. Nighttime reloading, stress reloading, anything, it just makes it easier. People might say it's a fucking clutch, but who gives a shit? You'll take steroids if it helps you at the gym. The aggressive style grips allows me to place my hand here, have my light right here. I thoroughly like the Enforced WMLX. It's not the most lumens, it's not the most candela, but for what I want, it's got a strobe light feature. It still has quite a white hot spotlight. Reaches a distance I need it, and to be honest, for airsoft, it reaches a distance I can effectively engage targets at. The Magpul Special K, fucking hell, what am I saying? The Aaron Smith did a Sandman K, shorter than his Sandman S by about 1.2 inches if I remember correctly. and then a Somo gear aiming laser for nighttime use, and I do use the laser quite often. But the entire point of this rifle is for CQB. So when I have my stock collapsed into the 4th position, total is about 32 inches, so I think it's about 89 centimeters if I remember correctly. Works well. People say, well, why don't you buttstock collapse all the way? Well, I could have it all the way if I wanted to, but I still have to reach that magnifier with my plate carrier, which is quite a girthy motherfucker. But the 4th setting works fine for me. I've still got a decent length of pull for reloads and support. And that's it really for the CQB side. Unities, you can't go wrong. I think they're some of the best optic mounts. A lot of people disagree, say 154, 170 AOTech, 193 is fine. But for me, I like to keep my heads up. I'm quite a tall boy, 6'1", and I don't have to lean to my rifle much, if not at all. It just leaves a lot of manoeuvrability for me. I kind of run my toe on my collarbone, keeps it close to me. I don't have to do much. SIG Romeo 40, only recently got this, but I was a massive fan of the Hollow Sun 503 CU, which I got off Warlord Customs as well. That red dot with the the 65mm ring with the 2mm dot. It's just really nice for CQB, and it's especially nice when you're flicking a magnifier up. It gives you a nice clear little reticle to use instead of just a little dot for an aiming point. And the point of the magnifier and the 50-degree bucking is because I want to be able to reach out to about 50 metres, 60 metres effectively, which this rifle can do on 3.2s, depending on winds and such. That's the reason I got the Diatac hop arm over the Bavtac nub, is I'm only using 3.2s, and I know the Diatac hop arm can easily do that. I still have my Bavtac nub, I'm saving it for a 16-inch build. But that's about it. Would I recommend an MWS to you? It's really dependent on what you want, the price, the realism you're looking for. Because at the end of the day, everyone's looking for a gas blowback for the little bit of realism you get in airsoft. So I'd say the main MWS contender is a Vipertech or a VFC. VFC is the best of both worlds, performance and realism. Vipertech is ultimately realism, but I've had bad experience with them. Other people disagree. To be honest, I blame the guy who had it. He didn't look after it well. But it's an expensive gun. I'm not going to tell you how much I spent on this, but it's ridiculous, 4K plus. But this is what I wanted. If you want something that's really performance based, you can sell it up to easily run during winter. I'd recommend an MWS because Tokyo Marui absolutely nailed that out of the park, even though there's barely any TM left in this. And that's about it. Part 3 is going to be about a year review. I'm going to run it through a few events once I've kind of got back on my feet next year, because I'm still kind of recovering. And it's going to have a couple of more clips, maybe a bit of gameplay footage, and I'll tell you how it's evolved from there. So stay tuned for part 3. I'm going to have a Shaw Concepts Arc V2 review coming out within the next week or so, so also stay tuned for that.